Flashman, by his own admission, is rotten to the core, but he's got a few redeeming features. One of those is his razor wit. In this packet, in no particular order, we'll take a look at 5 times I've laughed out loud when reading Flashman. I'm a commuter, and that can be a life-sapping experience. All I can say on that is thank God for Flashman. Many times I've found myself laughing out loud and having to stifle giggles on a packed commuter train, which is always a little embarrassing. But that's the power of Flashy. Escapism at its best, but with a healthy dose of comedy. I have to say I've struggled to keep the scope of this packet together, as there are too many golden Flashman moments, either situations he is in or things he has said. So short of rereading every packet, here are a few that stuck with me. Number 1. This one is from the last packet in Flashman and the Tiger. There's a lot of great Flashman lines in this book. Perhaps my favourite is when Harry is at the theatre with his granddaughter Sally and encounters none other than Oscar Wilde. This is another masterstroke from Fraser to weave such an important literary figure into the papers and use him as a foil for Harry. Fraser treats us to some great warm-up insults between the two adversaries, and eventually Wilde shares the splendid idea of immortalising Harry by putting him in a play, and taunting him by wondering what a stir this would cause at the Horse Guards. Harry's comeback is genius. "You do, Father Oscar, and I'll confer immortality on you." "How so?" cries Oscar, affecting astonishment. "I'll kick you in the tinklers, assuming you've got any," says Harry. "Think what a stir that will create in the Café Royal." So Harry exchanges words with one of the 19th century's foremost writers and comes off best, and he does it by threatening this subtle wordsmith with physical violence and using the word tinklers. Number 2. This is another great moment from Flashman and the Tiger, and it's from the first of the packets, The Road to Charing Cross. Harry is awarded the Legion of Honour in recognition of his services to France, and after collecting his award in Paris, has dinner with his old friend and journalist, Henri Blowitz. It turns out that Blowitz has engineered the honour for Harry so he can prevail on him to help with a plot to get an exclusive on the outcome of the Congress of Berlin. During the cigars, Blowitz presents Harry with a mounted picture. Harry advises, as a connoisseur of photography, there was a quality of the present specimen that took his attention at once. He describes the opulence of the setting, the delicacy of the hand colouring, the playful inclusion of a parakeet and tiny monkey, the careful composition of the 2 gigantic blackamoors against the potted palms. He finally passes comment on a couple of the best assets of the obvious subject of the image, a new beauty. A master of the understatement, he ends with, "I tore my eyes away from the potted palms." Number 3. The next is from Flashman and the Dragon, when Harry is satisfying the curiosity of the Emperor's favourite concubine, the Orchid Lady. After being washed by her attending eunuchs and presented for parade, he describes her desirability in the only way that Flashman can. She fulfilled, you see, 4 of the 5 conditions necessary for what may be called the Australian ideal. She was an immensely rich, stunningly beautiful, highly skilled professional amorist with the sexual appetite of a pagan princess. She did not own a public house. Number 4. This is from Flashman and the Angel of the Lord. Harry is conveying some of his memories of John Brown when they were holed up at the Kennedy farm as they prepared for the taking of the armoury at Harper's Ferry. He relates a story that John Brown's son Watson told him that when they were children, to punish them, his father would announce the number of strokes of his belt they would receive, but would only give them half. The other half they would have to give to him. They thought this a terrible punishment, having to beat your own father, and it nearly broke their hearts. Harry says, "It wouldn't have kept this infant good. I'd have laced the old bugger till his arse fell off." Number 5. We're with Harry at the Siege of Lucknow in the Great Game. The British have held the Pandies off but are near breaking, when finally they hear the pipes of Campbell and his army, and they know relief is near. The problem is Campbell still has to find his way through the maze of streets to get to the Residency, and his 5,000 strong against 60,000 could easily be caught up if they get lost. The answer is for someone to disguise himself as a local, find Campbell and guide his forces in. Harry overhears Napier and Outram discussing the mission and the volunteer Kavanagh. Kavanagh apparently knows Lucknow well, but General Outram isn't sure he's the right man, as he describes him as 6 foot tall with flaming red hair, blue eyes, poor Hindi with a Donegal accent. Outram's auntie's parrot could have had more chance, passing as a native. They finally realise they will need someone more experienced to hold his hand, And of course, the answer to that was Flashman. So we get the familiar scene of Harry being persuaded to jump into the soup while on the inside he is shaking with fear, desperately trying to find a way out, but ending up having to accept the situation to save his reputation anyway. Harry spends the evening preparing his disguise and thinking of ways to cry off, and almost does when he sees Kavanagh got up like Sinbad the sailor. This famous painting by Louis William Desange captures the scene just prior to where Flashman turns to Napier and whispers, "My God, man, he won't fool a child. We'll have the bloody pandies running after us, shouting penny for Guy Fawkes." After leaving the defences and making their way beyond the pandy lines, Flashy discovers for the first time he is on an adventure with someone more scared than him. The hapless Kavanagh makes all kinds of mistakes and the fun builds. Eventually he gets them lost and they end up asking for directions.
The man said, "Jungly Ganj," and hurried off, glancing suspiciously at us. Kavanagh stood and scratched himself and said it wasn't possible. "If this is Jungly Ganj," says he, "then where the hell is Mirza Kira? Will you tell me that? You know what, Flashman, that old clown doesn't know where he's at all. After that we blundered about in the dark, two daring and desperate men on our vital secret mission, and then Kavanagh gave a great laugh and said it was all right, he knew where we were after all, that must be Mulvi Jenab's garden, so we should go left. We did, and finished up striking matches along Haidar's Canal. At least, that's what Kavanagh said it was, and he should have known, for he was in it twice, thrashing about in the water and cursing.
How George MacDonald Fraser was able to turn a famous and heroic story from the siege, which won Kavanagh the VC, into a glorious farce is just brilliant. So there you are, a brief tap dance through some of Harry's lighter moments that have made me laugh out loud. But what do you think? How about sharing some of the times Harry has tickled your ribs in the comments below? And if this video has put a smile on your face, why not consider subscribing and giving us a plucky thumbs up? A man walks into a bar and says, "Would you like nuts or cigar soaps?"